2.
It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman, and this show is brought to you by CartKing.com. That's cart-king.com, 877-986-7771. Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Perhaps the current business you have right now wants to add multiple point-of-sale locations across the country. CartKing.com can be the answer to your needs. CartKing.com is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile retail, coffee, food, carts, and kiosks that money can buy. For 20 years, CartKing.com has been working with clients and corporations across America to provide indoor, outdoor, carts, and kiosks for any application. So what you do is you go to cart-king.com. That's cart-king.com. You check out all the different designs they have, whichever one applies to your business. They'll custom design it for you, custom build it for you, and then ship it worldwide. That's cart-king.com. 877-986-7771. Okay, we have on the phone probably one of the most fascinating people you could find, Lee Siegfried. Now, you may not recognize that name. He's also been known as Crazy Cabbie and Lee Morozak. I first heard of him on the Howard Stern show, but he's had a very, very full life, to say the least, before and after the Stern show. So, Lee Siegfried, are you there?
I'm here. How are you, Ed?
I'm good. A little too much coffee today, a little shot out of a cannon, but I think I can rein myself.
All right. You're in Vegas. You'll be fine.
I can rein myself in a bit. Tell us about yourself. Who is Lee Siegfried?
Who is Lee Siegfried?
Yeah.
Lee Siegfried is, I'm just a regular guy. I'm a veteran, disabled, currently residing in a wheelchair in New Jersey. Year and a half ago, I was diagnosed with something called GBS, Guillain-Barré syndrome, and I lost the use of my legs. So I've done many things. I was a cab driver. I was a radio guy. I was a peddler of pornography. I was going to ask you, what's that cart? What is it?
CartKing.com.
Sponsor?
Yeah. Yeah, they build those carts and kiosks.
You think they'd make me a kiosk for a mall that I could sell dildos in?
Yeah, you know what? They definitely would. If you could find the mall that would let you sell that, they could definitely, you know, because let me ask you a question.
It's that time of year.
Yeah, that's right. It is the season, right?
Right.
This GBS. Now, I was talking to you off the air a little bit. We had another guest on that has this GBS. Now, and this is a frightening, because this just came on out of nowhere. Am I right?
Completely. One day I could walk, next day I couldn't. And I fell in my house, and I ended up in the hospital for over 7 months. And I'm now in a wheelchair. I can't walk. I mean, I can move my legs, but I can't support my weight.
Now,
it's a struggle to take a shit, Ed.
Let me ask you something now, because the other guest we had on, he got it from the flu shot, you know. But now, I've heard
that.
Yeah.
But I hadn't had a flu shot in like 4 years before I got it, so I don't know that it was from that. But there's so little research done on the disease or the syndrome or whatever you call it, because it's so rare that they don't know exactly what it's from.
And they did something with him, too, where they changed out all his blood. They gave him entire body blood plasma transfusion. Did they do that with you?
No, I was on called IVIG, immunoglobulin intravenous injections, where they put some kind of human growth hormone in you.
Okay.
I don't know exactly what it is, but I did that for about 9 months, and it wasn't working, and so they stopped that. But how did that guy come around after the blood transfusion?
He's out of the hospital, and they're talking about 1 year of rehabilitation, but that he will get like 99% of his functions back.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now, are you getting good medical care? Do you have like the VA taking care of you?
Yeah, the VA takes care of me. Good medical care is a relative term nowadays.
Yeah. Well, God bless you, man. So is there any chance you can get out of this wheelchair?
Hopefully. I'm hopeful that, 80% of people recover from GBS. So, right. I'm hoping that I'll be all right. But it's a waiting game at this point. Physical therapy is not going to help me if my legs don't work.
Yeah. And
yeah, so
how does that change? Besides, how does that? Your whole life gets just turned upside down, right? How do you cope with something like that?
You just do. I mean, it's another curveball thrown at you in life. You have to figure out your way around it and work through it. Thank God, my wife, my love of my life for the past almost 18 years now, has been there and supported me and helped me out. I'm lucky, Yeah. I could be totally screwed right now and be alone.
Yeah, that's true. Thank God for that.
It's very depressing, though. Yeah. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I can imagine. Now, I first heard about you from Howard Stern, but tell me about your life before Howard Stern.
Well, I grew up in Minneapolis, St. Paul. I was adopted. At about 13, I left home because I didn't like the people who had bought me through the Catholic Charities, and I was basically raised in the system of foster homes and group homes, and I made my way through that and survived. And when I was 17, I went out on my own and got a full-time job and lived my life. And when I was 20, I joined the military. Was a paratrooper, fought in the first Gulf War. I don't know if you remember that one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Came home, got out, was married for a short time, and started numerous jobs, bartending, bouncing at bars, and then eventually taxi and driving a cab in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And I was calling a morning show, Andy Savage in the morning, and I would get through every morning. It was right at the end of my shift. I'd, shoot the shit a little bit, tell them a story from the cab. They liked what I had. They liked what I did. And I had briefly gone to broadcast school after the military, but I didn't really want to end up in Iowa reading farm reports or anything like that. So I started, like I said, I was driving a cab, and next thing you know, I got my foot in the door at ABC Radio, Disney Radio in Minneapolis, and I ran with it from there, and that was my career for a better part of 17 years.
Your stint in the military, would you do that again, and would you recommend that to kids coming up to enlist?
I think the military is a good thing. I think it should almost be, like some countries, mandatory for a young 18, 19-year-old kid to, take some time out and see how the other half lives, get some real discipline. Because family discipline can vary from, I grew up in an abusive household to you could be coddled and don't really understand what life is. So, yeah, I would totally recommend the military to everybody.
Even though I believe you have some PTSD and you have like Gulf War syndrome, even still you don't have a regret from doing that?
No, I don't have a regret.
Okay.
They're taking care of me medically. They helped me get. I graduated in 2012 from the City University of New York with a degree in psychology. So they put me through college. I would recommend it even above and beyond all the negatives that might be attached to it.
That's true. I'm 6 years older than you, and I have no medical insurance. And if I were to get this GBS thing, I'd just be out in the street. I'd just be dead because I would get no medical care whatsoever. I would just be
I understand.
out of luck. Yeah.
Medical people don't. People thought Obamacare was going to fix everything, and it didn't fix everything. A lot of people lost their coverage because of it.
Yeah, that was a mess. Yeah, that was. I just had to pay that fine on my taxes this year. That $600 fine. So add insult to injury. I get no medical care, and then on top of that, I got to pay a fine for it. Well, thank you very much.
Because you weren't paying into the system or whatever.
Yeah, because I can't afford Obamacare. I can't afford that stuff. So what do you
It's
do?
a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money. It's more than most people were paying normally for private health care out of their monthly check every month.
Yeah, it's outrageous. Now you say you were adopted, right? And I know from watching a lot. I've been binge watching the Stern Show on YouTube, and that's how I've been interviewing a lot of people from the Stern Show lately. Your adoption, you located your biological parents.
Well, I located my biological mother. Actually, the Stern Show helped me do that, and her name is Audrey, and she still lives in Anoka. And she was a summer of love teenage girl when she had me, and she couldn't take care of me. So she put me up for adoption, and, I could have been an abortion.
And how did they go about finding her? Did they hire an investigator?
Yeah, they hired a company called Kin Solving. I don't know if they're still around,
Right.
but I know it cost them a lot of money because I had actually tried to find her prior to them finding her, and they spent a pretty penny to find her because it wasn't easy. Because when you're adopted through Catholic Charities, it's all confidential and that kind of stuff.
Adoption investigations back in the 90s and stuff like that, but they've come down drastically in the past few.
I'm sure nowadays with the internet
and Ancestry.com.
You can find anybody you want on Facebook.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah. Now, how did it work out? Because I do a lot of those reunifications between people in the adoption system. And how did it work out for you?
It's worked out fine. I mean, we're not super close, but we're not distant. And she's my mom, and I actually allowed her to adopt me back in 2003. So she's actually my mother again. And yeah, man.
And
that's why my name changed.
That's why you got the name changed, because her name is Siegfried, I suppose.
Yeah.
Okay, fascinating. Looking back, what do you think about your years with the Stern Show? Do you regret that or what?
I mean, I don't necessarily regret it. It was a time in my life when it was something I was doing. I loved when I did it. I worked at the station. I did afternoons with a guy named Kane, and had an overnight show, and had a weekend show that I played heavy metal on. The Stern Show was just like a side thing that I got to go in there and let a little more loose than I would normally on the air and have some fun. It was a good time.
But you wound up getting in trouble over the taxes, right?
Yeah.
How'd that come about?
Well, I went in the air and I said something stupid, and the IRS came and hammered me.
Okay, so listen to you. What happened to contact you?
Well, they knocked on my door. I knew they had been looking.
Yeah.
And people had told me they were looking. So it's the IRS, dude. It's the IRS.
But it's not the taxes. I think years and years of Trump.
In the government, it's not denying your tax, it's denying the returns.
Right.
The law states have to file a return. There's no debtor's prison anymore, but it's considered if filing your returns.
And you think they told you because we're on the air to make
it is what I said on the air.
Right.
I said I'll pay my taxes when I cure my for it. And lo and behold, I filed in years, and they came after me.
Now, when you were talking to these guys, you ever talk man to man and say, "Hey, why you bust my bullshit as I'm on the air"?
Yeah, they said they had to do their job.
Yeah.
The judge, when he sentenced me, said he can't allow someone to thumb their nose at the government. It's a different thing at private citizen. I was a separate figure who went on the air and said something derogatory towards the government.
Yeah.
So they have to take the freeze because it's come and gets charged. He go, well, you let that radio guy go.
Yeah, and also you're encouraging people to go out and do the food stuff. Fantastic. A lot of big changes around this country, Ronzo.
Yeah, you think medical care is expensive.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So how was your time in prison? How did that go?